broadcasting live and proudly from the Hesselson studio here on historic Market Street in Corning. And I have so many viewer comments to get to start the program off, and I can't think of a better way to start the program. Couple quick housekeeping notes in reference to this. First of all, as you know, that number on the bottom of your screen is 24/7. I don't know if I was clear. Oh, my music rang long. Thank you. Thank you for the heads up. Couple technical things lately. As I was saying, we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, and we're going to start the program with a lot of viewer comments, and I have a couple quick housekeeping notes. And the first is that the number on the bottom of your screen is 24/7. But I should maybe be clear that I read them all, but I'm not reading them live. Many people commenting during Biden's speech last night, and I really appreciate it. But I see them in the morning because it's more of a work thing than on a personal cell phone. I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like its own system. So don't ever think I'm ignoring your comments, because I think a few people definitely in the last week or so, with all the breaking news, I think I'm ignoring. And I want to make it perfectly clear I am not. And I can't wait to get in the morning and read the comments and print them out so that we can talk about them on the show. So I just want to make that clear. And I maybe have never really done that. So my apologies. Also, I want to thank the woman who stopped by yesterday to say that she watches the show and gives me waves every morning. Thank you so much. I apologize. I didn't get your name. Anyway, we have a door lock, and there's been some issues in the past, so I never know what's going to happen. So if that's maybe why I was thrown a little off guard, but I can't thank you enough. As I said yesterday, you made my day, so thank you. Now let's get to the comments. First off, the Democrats disenfranchised their own voters. They don't care what you think, sociopaths. Thank you. Now, a lot of these are in reference to last night's speech, farewell address? I don't know what you'd call it, from President Biden. But I'm still predicting Andrew Graham Bashir, governor of Kentucky, will be Harris's VP. Not that I believe in what he stands for, just that he might do better competing with J.D. Vance. I think that's a good prediction. He has been on the short list. A lot of people right now seem to be headed towards Mark Kelly, but I'm not sure if that's one of those behind the scenes campaigns that we talk about on the program. I'm not sure, because a Drudge Report, who has seemed to go really anti-Trump in a way, he pushes some things now that I'm not sure if it's behind the scenes campaigning, is what I'm trying to say. Next comment, and to this viewer who sent me a few texts yesterday, I did not have a chance to go through all of them. I will respond later, probably after the program, or if I get a moment here during a break, but probably at the end of the show, because I know you covered a lot last night, and I really appreciate it. But I like your comment right at the end. I can't even watch him, meaning Biden. I'm watching the Andy Griffith show instead. Enough of the insidious lies and misinformation and untruths. And I'm sure that's in reference to Biden's speech and not the Andy Griffith show, of course. No. Yes, I cannot blame you. There's nothing wrong with watching a little Andy Griffith show on MeTV. Another comment. I cannot believe the words. This is from a different viewer. I cannot believe the words I just heard coming from his mouth. I had to pinch myself to be sure I wasn't having a nightmare. But I was awake, as I often am since he took office. How can someone be capable of spewing so much garbage, so many lies, and do so with a straight face? I've never felt so vulnerable as I do now, and this is his idea of democracy. Thank you so much, and I think that's an important statement that you're making, because if you watched last night, it was like a free-for-all campaign speech, and I, in my show prep last night and this morning, mostly this morning, did not see the fact check that we see for even Trump's rallies during the whole RNC, of course. All the times they fact check Trump, but Biden seems to get a free pass because right now he is George Washington incarnate. If you listen to the political pundits, if you listen to the mainstream media, he has saved the country. Now, those same people saying that now were the ones that were stabbing him in the back, asking him to leave. We're going to talk about that in depth. I do want to, on top of starting on a good note with viewer comments, Marine veteran David Dutch, one of the surviving victims shot at that rally with Trump, was released from the hospital Wednesday. Dutch, 57, was discharged from Allegheny General Hospital following an 11-day stay after he was shot at the Republican presidential nominee's July 13th outdoor rally. Dutch, of New Kensington, was struck twice, once in the chest and once in the liver. He is out of the hospital. At the time, at the shooting, he was rushed to the hospital in critical condition and was put into a medical-induced coma while he underwent multiple surgeries, according to the Marine Corps League's Department of Pennsylvania. And then a second wounded rally goer, James Copenhaver, is still undergoing treatment at Allegheny, where he's listed in serious but stable condition. Copenhagen, a 74-year-old retired grandfather from Moon Township, was also shot by crooks and suffered life-altering injuries, his family had previously said. So Marine veteran David Dutch, one of the rally attendees who was shot, has been released from the hospital after 11 days. So I wanted to pass that along to you. Not sure if you would hear that in the news. Not a lot in the news about the assassination attempt on the former president. Most of the focus, as you are aware, is about Kamala Harris, and it turns out how great she's been doing, not just in the past 3.5 years as VP, but in the past as well as a prosecutor. We're going to tell you what the media had to say, what the campaign is looking like. They're trying to present, and I saw numerous articles this morning, Republicans are running scared. Republicans are in a tizzy. They don't know how to handle this. I think that's kind of a foolish take on it. I mean, yes, I don't think anybody on either side of the aisle, as it's said, would want to run a presidential campaign in 4 months, but and Trump having to change the whole kind of MO of what he would be saying. But that's the cards that were dealt. Again, and we talked about it yesterday, the coronation, the installation of Kamala Harris as the nominee. They are moving the process quickly to get that roll call vote, to get her in there, so there's no more talk of maybe picking someone else. There is a report out there, and you may have seen it yesterday, it's making the rounds. A source close to the Biden family is saying that Obama does not believe in Harris's chance of winning and beating Trump. So that is why he is not endorsed. We've heard varying accounts of why he hasn't endorsed, but that is what a source close to the Biden family is saying. That is why former President Barack Obama has not endorsed Kamala Harris yet. We will talk about that a little bit later on in depth as well. Yesterday, another major story, Benjamin Netanyahu visiting Congress, giving that address to Congress. We will talk about that. Did you watch the address? I thought a powerful speech, a speech that Nancy Pelosi did not attend, but also found plenty of time to criticize after the fact. What was it, around 100 members of Congress did not attend, I guess, in protest. Some did attend in protest. Rashida Tlaib holding up signs. We're going to talk about that as well. Did you watch Biden's, I don't know what you would call it, farewell address? What did you think? It was a stump speech. Well, we're going to tell you what some of the pundits had to say a little bit later on as well, but talk about a prime opportunity to just push the Harris campaign, to push as one viewer said, I think, misinformation and lies about the last 3.5 years, hoping, I suppose, as they've been doing the whole time, that you're not paying attention. But did the speech concern you? That you've got to remember that Biden still has nearly 6 months in office as president of the United States of America. Do you believe he's up to it? Something the media is not really talking about. Some have talked about the 25th Amendment, not in the media, but not talking about the fact that he is still leader of the free world for 6 months. So not healthy enough to run for president, though if you listen to the press secretary, he is healthy enough. He could do 4 more years. So still questions about why he didn't run. Why was he pushed out then? If he could still run and believe that he could effectively serve for 4 more years, why was it important for him to step down for democracy, in his terms, for democracy? So did you watch it? We're going to read your questions. Read your comments here in just a little bit. And we are going to start off talking about Netanyahu. And again, just to reiterate, thank you again for all the comments during yesterday's speech and throughout the day. Again, that's why I try to read them in the morning, because I do not read them live. I just want to be clear on that. All right, let's take, I do here now when I'm on the show and throughout the day, but at night when I'm not at work, it does not get sent to my phone. So I read them in the morning, and I love that. It gives me something to look forward to as I start my morning. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Just getting started, hitting the ground running.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
There were guys. Both guys drove to work. Neither guy wore their seatbelt. One guy got a ticket. One guy didn't. Both guys drove home from work. One guy wore his seatbelt. One guy didn't. One guy made it home. One guy didn't.
You rip and tear your old statements and bills, but thieves use this information to steal your identity. Don't be a victim. Get the ID Police, the new ink roller that encrypts all your old documents. So before you throw it out, just roll it on, and your information is gone, both on the front and through the back. Even if the paper is held up to the light, even your medical information is safe with the ID Police. So block it out before you throw it out. Order now and get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 and get free shipping too. This offer is not available on Amazon, so call or click now to get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 with free shipping. Order now.
Call 1-800-898-1002. That's 1-800-898-1002 or visit getidpolice.com. So call 1-800-898-1002. Order now.
Welcome to Frankly Speaking, talking to the people that affect your life, that affect all of our day-to-day lives. This is something you're not going to get anywhere else. We've got a lot to offer. There'll be a lot of news, local, regional, national, really the things that affect you. And I think you'll be glad that you tuned in. So think of it as radio on TV. Frankly Speaking, live, 2 hours long, starting at 6 a.m. on WYDC TV Big Fox. This is history. Oh, respond in the comments. Hey, pay attention here, Frank. Jeepers. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking. Thank you so much for joining us. We're broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. Getting so many great comments in. Let's get to those comments, shall we? He tried to be so presidential and historic in his rhetoric. Unfortunately, he used quite a few quips from the past, and I found it fell very flat, so I didn't watch the whole thing either. It seemed like a typical stump speech. Nothing was really said that was any different. A lot of people on the street this morning. It just seemed like the typical. I know I say this a lot, but I feel that you or me could have written a similar speech for Biden, not been that off, knowing the lines that he was going to use, knowing the threat to democracy, those type of things. So I would agree it did fall flat. Luckily, it was only about 10 minutes, so I did stay up. Yes, I have the same bedtime as President Joe Biden. I did stay up for those 10 minutes, but did not really learn anything and just Got what I expected. Next up, another comment. I agree with the other caller. It was disturbing and not worth watching. Such a train wreck. Another comment. Too bad he didn't say something like, I'm not a crook. At least he would have made a meme that would get played. Yeah, there was really nothing memorable about it. Now, I guess you can't really call it his farewell address, but in a way it is kind of by definition of what he was saying. But yeah, there was nothing, at least to my ears, but maybe the media is telling us different. There was nothing that seemed historic to me. There was not that memorable takeaway. They are praising it, of course. Van Jones getting emotional yet again after the speech. We'll be talking about that in just a second. One last comment. Was that really Biden? No, hey, man. No yelling. No whispers. No pause. So really, was that the real Biden? There was one point where he whispered a little bit. And I thought, boy, that makes me so uncomfortable. The whispering part of the speeches are tough sometimes. I'm not really sure where that habit came from. Yes, to the viewer. And yesterday we had a little issue with the lighting, and as you can see, it continues into today. We can call it summer lighting. Yes. No, we're working on it. It should be fixed later today. So it's a little orange, it kind of almost looks like an old photo with that kind of brownish, tannish. Anyway. Anti-Israel rioters burned a U.S. flag yesterday and attempted to breach Capitol Police lines as Netanyahu addressed Congress. Also, there was reports yesterday that they dropped off maggots, was it, and other pests at the Watergate Hotel. Rioters tore down American flags flying outside of nearby Union Station before hoisting Palestinian flags up the poles and burning the stars and stripes. That's really how to win people over to your side. Remember, these are the same groups that the 100 members of Congress who did not attend Netanyahu supposedly, I would say, support. The U.S. Park Police were able to rescue one of the flags before the mob could set it ablaze. The chaos began as Netanyahu was set to speak. And I love what Netanyahu said. I don't know if you saw his address, but referencing kind of the useful idiots, as he said, in when it comes to the protesters. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. One protester, pro-terror, pro-Hamas protester, was captured with a chilling sign that read, Allah is gathering all the Zionists for the final solution, with a photo of a nuclear mushroom cloud over the Israeli flag. This is what we're dealing with. I'm not going to talk about the address too much because we've got a lot to get to with Biden and Harris and Trump, of course, as well. But just to see, and I would highly recommend you go to the New York Post this morning and see the pictures. It is, well, it's anti-Israel, anti-American, as we've been saying right along, anti-police protests. The pictures are disturbing. Now, Netanyahu said during his speech yesterday that the anti-Israel protesters who hold up signs saying gays for Gaza, they might as well be holding up signs that say chickens for KFC. Some of the protesters holding up signs proclaiming gays for Gaza, they might as well hold up signs saying chickens for KFC. These protesters chant from the river to the sea, but many don't have a clue what river and what sea they're talking about. They not only get an F in geography, they get an F in history. They call Israel a colonialist state. Don't they know that the land of Israel is where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob prayed, where Israel and Jeremiah preached, and where David and Solomon ruled? Also giving an interview to Punchbowl News, Netanyahu said, who are they supporting? This was back in June. These murderers, these rapists of women, the beheaders of babies, the burning of innocent civilians, the taking of hostages, including Holocaust survivors. Well, it might not be surprising because 20%, more or less, say that bin Laden was right and America was wrong. So there's obviously an issue that affects part of American society that challenges not Israel, but challenges America. The people who protest with these killers, you have gays for Gaza, that's an absurdity if I've ever heard one. If you are gay in Gaza, you'll be shot in the back of the head. Women for Gaza? What are women in Gaza? Netanyahu, boy, it's nice to see such a forceful address. I know Kamala Harris did not go to the address, trying to, as CNN, I think, put it, find her voice, find her belief and how she feels with Israel. Here's the word. Harris navigates Biden and Netanyahu as she considers her stance on Israel. I think we already know her stance on Israel by not attending that address yesterday. Boy, I'm running late. But Netanyahu tells Congress, our fight is your fight. And as we defend ourselves on all fronts, I know that America has our back, and I thank you for it. All sides of the aisle. What a diplomatic thing to say. Because we know at least 100 members of Congress did not attend from the Democrat side. These Rashida Tlaib did attend, and she held signs that said guilty of genocide and war criminal in protest. Netanyahu also hailed the fraternity brothers at the University of North Carolina who saved an American flag from an anti-Israel, anti-Semitic mob on campus. And he called upon Americans to unite to fight the rising tide of anti-Semitism on campus and around the country. I'm glad he's calling it out because those in the media are not. Those in Washington on the Democrat side are not calling this out because at the end of the day, you see the photos, you see what is being said. It is anti-Israel, anti-Semitic, anti-American, anti-police. So around half of Congress, I just kept saying 100, and I apologize about that. Around half of Congress's Democrats skipped the Netanyahu speech. I thought I read 100 this morning. Many lawmakers, particularly progressive Israel critics, made clear that they were explicitly boycotting the event in protest of Netanyahu's war in Gaza. Among the boycotters, Nancy Pelosi, Jim Clyburn, AOC. Now, one Republican, isolationist Representative Thomas Massey, made clear he was explicitly boycotting the speech as well, saying he didn't want to be a prop for Netanyahu. Oh, okay, I was accurate. Roughly 100 House Democrats and 28 Senate Democrats were present in the chamber for the Israel Prime Minister's speech, meaning around half of both caucuses were absent. There we go. Wednesday's boycott was significantly larger than the 58 Democrats who skipped back in 2015. Nancy Pelosi, who could not be bothered to attend, still found the opportunity to tear into Netanyahu after the speech, saying Benjamin Netanyahu's presentation in the House chamber today was by far the worst presentation of any foreign dignitary invited and honored with the privilege of addressing the Congress of the United States. Many of us who love Israel, they always have to say, have that disclaimer, love Israel, but here's all our criticism of Israel. Claiming to love Israel, Pelosi claimed that Netanyahu's time would be better spent pursuing a ceasefire deal. Now, never mind, the Hamas has rejected every deal, and the former hostages and their families accompanied Netanyahu. It's turned political, but they see that vote. Remember, Biden, while he was still running, was very scared of losing what has become a major part of the Democrat Party, that anti-Israel vote. We've got a little bit more on this, and then we're going to move along and talk about Harris. We're going to talk about Biden's speech last night. What did you think? Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
Attention, Elmaron may lead to vision loss.
If you have suffered vision problems after taking Elmaron to treat bladder pain, call the Hearn Law Firm. Elmaron may be responsible for your vision problems, and you may deserve compensation for your injuries.
If you took Elmaron and now have vision problems, call the Hearn Law Firm at 888-308-3866 right now. You could find out if you qualify in less than 2 minutes. Call 888-308-3866 for your free case review.
Hi, I'm Sam. Welcome to Pangea Global Tea House.
Pangea Global Tea House offers comfort foods of the world. Over 50 teas, a sampling of cuisine from over 10 countries. Globally inspired cuisine and striving to give you an ultimate experience. Come in and try the frankly delicious Turkey Club special for just $20, including your beverage of choice. Pangea Global Tea House. Yet a really good tea house bringing you the flavors of the world, offering something for everyone.
Your is always in danger. Criminals can hack your information without you even knowing. Introducing Slim Mint, an ultra-thin RFID blocking wallet that keeps your cards and cash protected. Slim Mint uses the latest RFID blocking technology to prevent thieves from stealing your info. It's ergonomically designed to optimize space and keep your belongings organized. With the auto-locking Slim Mint, your cards and money stay securely in place. It has a built-in cash clip and a flexible outer band to fit your additional cards and cash. Call or click now and get Slim Mint for just $29.99. Order in the next 5 minutes and you'll get an instant $10 discount. So it's only $19.99. But wait, due to rising costs, this may be your last chance to get Slim Mint at this low price. There's a strict limit of 3 Slim Mint wallets while supplies last. Don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-654-6604. Call or visit slimmintwallet.com. So call 1-800-654-6604. Order now.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. Back to comments. A lot of great comments this morning. His whispers, meaning Biden, had a bit of Hannibal Lecter-like horror to his speaking. The whispers, boy. I don't even like to try to emulate it because it's just so uncomfortable. Next comment. We have never needed Rush Limbaugh more than we could use him now. They just need to replay his broadcasts that pertain to events of the day. Not any slight towards you, Frank. No slight taken. I never in a million years could compare myself to Rush Limbaugh, so I wouldn't even consider that. But you say we live in such a small area, our words should ring out louder than they do. Well, thank you for that. But Rush Limbaugh, I don't know. Maybe you know the answer. Other than his website, I'm not sure if anybody does rebroadcast the shows. I know right after he passed, they were talking about broadcasting, having like a network, or not a network, it's not the right, a 3-hour block of past shows. But I don't know if that ever took off because we only have one small conservative radio outlet here in the area. Okay, next comment. I have to admit, different viewer, I didn't watch either speech because of the way the media slants these important addresses. I know. With regard to the Netanyahu speech, I thought back to the first Rambo film. Towards the end of the movie, when Rambo is finally captured, his speech about the Vietnam War. To paraphrase, it wasn't my war. I didn't start it. I fought it, though. It's the same theory. The Israelis didn't start the war. At this point, they're just trying to get all the hostages back. If Hamas really wants to stop the carnage, they just need to return the hostages, or at least house them in a different place away from innocents. Maybe our legislators should remember this daily. Yeah, if you notice, the legislators, our representatives, first of all, who was it? Was it Dick Durbin? It wasn't Pelosi. Quoting the numbers of Palestinians that were either killed or injured, quoting the Hamas propaganda wing that sends out those numbers, the Hamas basically PR group that sends out those numbers. They ignore the fact that it was Israel that was attacked. You don't hear them talk about October 7th. You have so many things that they need to ignore because of this dislike for Israel. It's as simple as that. Netanyahu could do no right. Unless, of course, he completely caves to Hamas, which is what they ultimately want. And then another one, I'm so glad that you mentioned this, Ken. This is a comment from Ken. Biden only had a couple of problems reading the speech someone wrote for him. My wife brought to my attention the window behind Biden. You could see the blurred reflection of the scrolling lines from the monitor he was reading off of. I totally agree. And the reason why I think that's really interesting, I was watching it and something kept catching my eye. And at first it looked like smoke, like in the old movies when someone, like a Johnny Carson show, when you could see the whiff of smoke coming from Johnny's cigarette. And so it caught my attention, and then your eyes kind of focus. And yeah, you could have probably read the speech along with him if you could read in reverse. But yeah, I found that very distracting. So I'm glad you noticed it, or your wife noticed it as well. Did you know Hunter Biden was there off to the side? He was on a couch right to the side watching it during the whole speech. Oops. But back to Benjamin Netanyahu before I run too late. The New York Post editorial board says that he lays out a crystal clear picture of good and evil in the Mideast and the United States. And that's what I thought was important about the address, because it wasn't just about Israel and Israel's safety. It was about America and America's safety and future. You can't ask for a more powerful, more accurate picture of the Middle East today than what Netanyahu painted. We meet today at a crossroads of history, he said, facing not a clash of civilization, but a clash between barbarism and civilization. To triumph, America and Israel must stand together. When they do, we win, and they lose. It's an important message, especially as we near Election Day. The Israeli leader recalled the horrors of October 7th, comparing them to December 7th and 9/11. He retold remarkable tales of heroism that day and in the war that followed. On the side of evil, he said, are the anti-Israel protesters, Iran's useful idiots, as he called them, and the college administrators who couldn't bring themselves to condemn anti-Semitism on their campuses. Netanyahu obliterated the ignorant fools who hold gays for Gaza signs. They might as well have read chickens for KFC. He was profusely grateful to America, almost to a fault, saying that he knows both sides of the aisle support him, when that is just not the case. But he was very grateful to President Biden for supporting the nation. But he made clear that America benefits too from the alliance. Israel provides Washington with vital intelligence, develops some of the most sophisticated weaponry to protect both countries, and, quote, we help keep American boots off the ground while protecting our shared interests. Right. Hamas still holds 8 U.S. hostages, including 3 who've died at the terrorist hands. Yet it's Israel, not America, that's fighting to rescue all those still in captivity. And it's Israel that's paying the price in soldiers' lives. The shared interests go much farther. Iran is virtually behind all the terrorism, chaos, and killing, he said. America stands in Iran's way as it seeks to impose radical Islam on the world, but first it must conquer the Middle East. And there, it is Israel that stands in the way. Quote, our enemies are your enemies. Our fight is your fight. Our victory will be your victory. What a great, powerful statement. He called for an alliance to counter the Iranian threat, much like the one that included Arab nations when Tehran launched hundreds of missiles and drones at Israel. Together, Netanyahu vowed America and Israel will defend our common civilization. That partnership makes eminent sense no matter who occupies the White House, but I do not have confidence. Listen, Biden started kind of strong with his support of Israel, but then we saw it weaken as the poll numbers came in and he was losing that anti-Israel part of his base. So he started to weaken. I don't believe Harris will start even at the point where Biden started. I believe Harris will show very quickly, and it has already, by not going to the address by Netanyahu. Though they are going to meet later today, and we learn that she will make her stance stronger after that meeting, so we know where she stands. Our Congressman Nick Langworthy, was at the address, of course, and this is what he had to say. Today, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delivered a deeply moving and inspirational address to a joint session of Congress, highlighting the vital importance of our alliance in the fight for civilization. When we stand with Israel, we stand against the terrorist regimes of Hamas and Iran. It's disgusting and deeply disrespectful that Vice President Kamala Harris and other Democrat leaders like Nancy Pelosi chose to boycott the speech and side with the terrorist sympathizers, hoisting Hamas flags while burning American ones and defacing our nation's capital. Their absence sends a glaring message about whose side they are on in our mission to defeat evil, and is a disgraceful slap in the face to the Americans still held hostage by Hamas. As Prime Minister Netanyahu aptly put it, those who align themselves with a terrorist regime are nothing more than useful idiots for Iran, who want the same fate for America as they do Israel. I hope every American's eyes are wide open to who is on the right side of history. Thank you. What a powerful statement from Congressman Nick Langworthy. Thank you to the congressman for sending that along, because there is such a clear difference. And where will Harris stand? We know where Biden stands, which is at the time when he was running. Anyway, the polls went. Now, I also want to mention as we move on, because we're going to talk about Biden's speech after this break, but Trump is going to meet Netanyahu on Friday at Mar-a-Lago. This will be the first meeting between Trump and Netanyahu since the fallout between them after the 2020 elections. The Israeli prime minister hopes the meeting with Trump will open a new page in their relations. We know the strongest supporter of Israel perhaps ever in the White House, Donald J. Trump, and he is going to meet with Netanyahu on Friday. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Biden's speech last night. What did you think? 10 minutes of nonstop action? I know, 10 minutes. Really just a stump speech. We're going to talk about it when we come back. I also want to highlight the fact that we do not have a Stu Benz Senior Services Fund interview this morning because we had so much to get to. But I always thank Stu Benz Senior Services Fund for bringing you those interviews, and we have quite a few lined up for next week, and I have a very special one tomorrow. Unfortunately, because it has not been done yet, I'm going to record it a little bit later on. I don't want to highlight it in case it falls through, but I will highly recommend you tune in tomorrow. Well, you should tune in every day, but tune in tomorrow because if it all works out, we're going to have a really cool, very special guest right around 7:20. All right, let's take that short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
Have you been unable to work for over a year due to a mental or physical disability?
Were you recently denied Social Security disability benefits? Great news. You may be eligible for money, back pay, relief.
If you've been pre-qualified and diagnosed with a recognized condition that prohibits you from working, our lawyers can file a claim to get your disability benefit.
Call us today and find out more.
Call now, 844-617-0440.
We were wasting so much money. The Koala team made the whole process so easy, and we saw savings on our very first bill.
The inspection was really eye-opening.
It's a great feeling knowing that we're truly energy efficient.
Now we're finally properly insulated.
Koala is a first-class company all the way.
It's time you discover Koala Insulation.
Hi, I'm Darren with Koala Insulation of Southern Tier. Give us a call. We are fully insured and we offer veteran and military discounts.
The Oak Ridge Boys American-made farewell tour. Celebrating 50-plus years of touring. The legendary Oak Ridge Boys. August 1st, the Chemung County Fair. Reserve seats on sale now at ChemungCountyFair.com or the Fair box office. The Oak Ridge Boys American-made farewell tour.
What do you do when your tire goes flat and there's no air anywhere? You reach for Bullseye Pro, the smarter, faster, hands-free way to fill it up with air. Bullseye Pro is equipped with a rechargeable lithium-ion power plant. So fast and so convenient. It's like the power of an air compressor in the palm of your hand. Look, you can inflate all 4 tires on a single charge. It has a built-in smart pressure digital sensor that gauges and automatically stops when the set tire pressure is reached. Easily inflate pool toys, exercise balls, and more. Call or go online now and get the complete Bullseye Pro inflation system for the factory direct price of just $79.99. Plus, we'll ship your entire order free, and we'll give you a 50% discount on a second one. Order now.
To order, call 1-800-977-4997. That's 1-800-977-4997, or go to Get.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. So President Biden decides, on a whim, to pass the torch to a new generation last night, saying, "I revere the office, but I love my country more. It's been an honor of my life to serve as your president, but the defense of democracy, which is at stake, I think is more important than any title." Now, what was your biggest takeaway from the speech? Now, most of it was about threat to democracy and uniting the country. Okay, I think the biggest takeaway is that he made it clear that he is going to push that Supreme Court reform. Now, originally, his campaign and the administration had said, well, it's probably admitting that it wouldn't be done before November. So they said, well, we'll work on it for the next 4 years, when he was still running. Now that's not the case. So is it hopefully a failing priority of his, or will he be able to push something through? He did say, when you elected me to this office, I promised to always level with you, to tell you the truth. In recent weeks, it became clear to me I needed to unite my party. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy, and that includes personal ambition. What made it clear? Was it your fellow Democrats turning on you? I mean, honestly, this isn't like trying to be joking. What made this decision, which just out of the blue? Why was it that all of a sudden you being there was going to be a threat to democracy? I think that's a fair question to ask. But he ran down the list of lame duck priorities, speaking out to protect our kids from gun violence, our planet from climate crisis. I'm going to call for, here we go, Supreme Court reform. because this is critical to our democracy. Supreme Court reform. I will keep working to ensure America remains strong, secure, and the leader of the free world. Then he talked and kind of bragged himself up for a while. That's where I think, if I can read between the lines on what some of the viewers had to say this morning, that was where some of the issues took place, where you saw the misinformation, again, as I said, the media not fact-checking his claims. I think perhaps the most, there's many frustrating ones in that. One of the most frustrating, I think, for most people is we're also securing our border. Border crossings are lower today than when the previous administration left office. What do you think of that comment? This is very much like inflation, where never mind what you're seeing and experiencing, believe what Biden said or what the teleprompter said. We are also securing our border. Border crossings are lower today than when the previous administration left office. Now, that's denying sequential record high illegal crossings during his first 3 years in office. Then he said, in just a few months, the American people chose the course of America's future, or choose the course of America's future. I made my choice. I made my views known. I'd like to thank our great Vice President, Kamala Harris. She's experienced. She's tough. She's capable. She's been an incredible partner to me and a leader for our country. Now the choice is up to you, the American people. So she's never given a press conference as VP. Very much been behind the scenes, out of the public eye. I'm trying to think, as Trump tries to navigate a new election strategy, Kamala Harris has been so quiet and lackluster during these last 3.5 years. He can obviously tie her to the Biden administration's quote-unquote achievements or failures, however you want to put them. But what else can be really said? There are no... I saw an article on a conservative outlet that was the highlights of Harris's whole political career. And, of course, when you clicked on it, there was this news is... how do they always put it? This is breaking news. We'll add to it as new information unfolds. So there was nothing that they could point to. So again, there was a lot to be frustrated about. And I understand when people were commenting why they were so frustrated. Jill Biden, Dr. Jill, posted a note to Twitter saying, to those who never wavered, to those who refuse to doubt, to those who always believe, my heart is full of gratitude. Thank you for the trust you put in Joe. Now it's time to put that trust in Kamala. Love, Jill. Now, I believe Jill was there. I know Hunter Biden was there, and I think Jill was there to the side as well. We're going to talk a little bit more about this. Don't want to run too late. I see a couple comments coming in, so stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's Hot Tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
We are proud to serve our country, to serve our local communities, to wear the uniform, to be a soldier, to serve abroad when and where duty calls. We are ready to stand with our brothers and sisters to defend, to serve, to fight. We're always ready, we're always there. We are the New York Army National Guard.
I'm Marian Burt. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking. here on WYDC TV. Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, looking at some last-minute comments coming in for the first hour. Supreme Court reform means making the Supreme Court full of liberal Democrats. Yeah, it's stacking the deck because they don't like... Listen, Democrats in the past were very good at using the courts to get legislation through that was very unpopular with voters. They no longer have that, so now they're looking at ways to manipulate it so that they can have that power and that tool in their playbook back. Next comment. Jill probably was there. Someone had to manipulate the strings. I think she was. I know Hunter. I saw Hunter, but I can't imagine Jill wouldn't be there right along with him. So CNN had an interesting piece after, and I don't think they knew what this was really saying. House Democrats praise Biden's speech passing the torch. And they go through and name the people who wanted Biden out, that pushed Biden out, now praising him for this speech. Showing yet again that how disingenuous this all is, that they had no problem with his mental decline as long as he was up in the polls, as long as he could beat Trump. So they covered it up. But when the polls started going the other way, what happened? Now it's time to leave. Biden, never mind about the security of the country. Now, because you're not electable, it's time for Biden to leave. A Democrat representative, Mark Pocan of Wisconsin, who had called for Biden to step aside, praised the speech, saying he did a great job of laying out why he did what he did. Former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who we know pushed Biden out, said, I thought it showed his greatness and his goodness. Well, if it shows his greatness and how great Biden can be, I say put him back in there. Maybe you guys overreacted, acted too soon. It's not too late to call the whole thing back because it's obviously the elites in the Democrat Party that have the final say, them and the big money that they claim to hate, the big money donors. They are who have the say in this election. So keep that in mind to the Democrats that are watching. It was big money that had the ultimate say, and the Democrat elite that had the say. But they went through and named all these people that wanted him out, now saying how great he is. I just find that it goes to show you kind of the backstabbing. Britt Hume says he doesn't quite buy Biden's conversion overnight. Yeah, I don't think any of us do. To hear the president tell it, he was fine with running for re-election, though he could win, or thought he could win the race, and serve for 4 more years until sometime between Saturday night and Sunday morning when it dawned on him, apparently, that it was time for a new generation of leaders. It was just at that moment. Now it hit me. We need a new generation of leaders, even though people have been saying it for a long time. It couldn't be these people that CNN are quoting that turned on him, the Democrat elites and the mega donors who had the final say in all of this. Politico reported that Biden told his senior aides early Saturday that his campaign was moving full steam ahead. However, later that evening, the president appeared to change his mind about the direction of his re-election bid. You know the whole history of it. In his 4th address to the nation, the 46th president said the only way to move forward is to, quote, pass the torch to a new generation. Britt Hume, again from Fox News, continuing, said there was enough mention of democracy and the sacredness of it to suggest that it was more than a little political motivation in his speech, since democracy and the salvation of it has been such a theme of his and Kamala Harris's election program. But it was quite a conversion overnight, it seems, if you believe it. I'm not sure I do. I think when we all look back on this in the fullness of time and perhaps with a better explanation of exactly the decision-making process the president went through, it will be seen as inevitable once that debate happened that he would have to step aside and that someone else would have to come forward. Former White House press secretary and co-host of The Five, Dana Perino, said it was like something he could have given in January of 2025. It rang hollow for me. It did not answer any of those questions. I do not think that it helps Harris as she tries to make some sort of break with him as she tries to get his nomination and try to beat Donald Trump. Oh, a lot of comments coming in. We do have to take our last break. I'll read them when we come back from that break. But yes, now he dropped out for the sake of democracy, had, I don't know, just that awakening on Sunday morning, deciding that now is the time to pass the torch to a new generation. And yet, we all know behind the scenes, it was the mega donors, it was the big money, and it was also the Democrat elites who always get the final say, don't they? I would ask, if you don't accept that, I would ask you to talk to a Bernie supporter. Let's take our break. When we come back, we'll read some of these comments. I got a few other things about the farewell Joe Biden show, and I want to hear your thoughts on that. We are going to talk about Harris's campaign later on. We also have quite a bit here on Trump's campaign as well. So stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Attention, Elmeron may lead to vision loss.
If you have suffered vision problems after taking Elmeron to treat bladder pain, call the Hearn Law Firm. Elmeron may be responsible for your vision problems, and you may deserve compensation for your injuries.
If you took Elmeron and now have vision problems, call the Hearn Law Firm at 888-308-3866 right now. You could find out if you qualify in less than 2 minutes. Call 888-308-3866 for your free case review. Attention Twitter homeowners. Are you tired of paying too much for your energy bills? It's time you discover Koala Insulation of the Southern Tier, a premier insulation contractor. The professionals at Koala Insulation can give you a free, no-obligation insulation evaluation. It's one of the best home improvement investments you can make. Give us a call at 607-463-0616.
Discover Koala Insulation of Southern Tier. We are fully insured. Visit koalainsulation.com and find us near you.
The Oak Ridge Boys American-made farewell tour. Celebrating 50-plus years of touring. The legendary Oak Ridge Boys. August 1st, the Chemung County Fair. Reserve seats on sale now at ChemungCountyFair.com or the Fair box office. The Oak Ridge Boys American-made farewell tour.
Wrapping up hour number one here on Frankly Speaking. A few comments from viewers. A lot of talk about Rush Limbaugh this morning. It's sad that the Democrat voters won't raise an eyebrow to question who's actually running things. Rush used to call them mind-numb robots. We need a new Rush. He's a political genius. I just got to comment. I don't think there will ever be another Rush Limbaugh. I just have to say that. Rush is probably spinning in his grave. A lot of Rush Limbaugh comments this morning. Another comment from a different viewer regarding Biden. With friends like he has, or allegedly has, who needs enemies? Yeah, that was a tough political go. All the people that praised him and really protected him for so long at the drop of the hat, turning on him, and sources said behind the scenes that it was very frustrating for Biden. It was very, really heartbreaking, and you can read a little bit between the line on Jill's statement there, I think, the same feeling. So we are going to talk about more of this in the next hour. Did you see that the White House press secretary said that Joe would be fine, the president would be fine for 4 more years, just decided not to run? That's what the speech was about last night. Did you watch the speech? Also, did you watch the Benjamin Netanyahu speech? A lot happening yesterday. Always busy news days anymore for the middle of summer. But as the New York Post editorial board said to the viewer who said with friends like he allegedly had, who needs enemies, Joe Biden tactically admits he dropped out because his party just didn't want him anymore. Factor out all the boilerplate, bragging, and other comments, and what President Biden delivered Wednesday night is quite possibly his last speech to the American people. It was the ghost of an explanation for why he dropped out of his re-election race, the, quote, need to unite my party, and, quote, the best way forward was to pass the torch. Maybe they showed him poll numbers that finally convinced him he couldn't win. Maybe they drove home just how the donors' strike made winning impossible. Maybe they did threaten him with a 25th Amendment humiliation, ousting him from the presidency immediately. Maybe it was some other combo of hammers and bribes. What I think, and we've heard sources that said all of those, but I do find it very interesting, and something we're probably going to hit on a lot here on the program, is that it really did take the donors, the big money the big money that so many people decry in Washington. It took the big money to finally be the last push to get Biden out. But they convinced him that the party he'd always strived to please didn't want him anymore, and that's got to be brutal. You've got to feel for him at that point. Someone or a group that he was so loyal to, so disloyal to him. But he still won't admit the obvious truth that he can't possibly serve out a second term. And the press secretary earlier in the day saying loyally that he could do it. He could do another full term. Yet his subtle slurring, his self-praise, and the trope-packed blather made it plain he'll be lucky to serve as a feeble figurehead till January. And you've seen people like Michael Moore and others suggesting that he does step down because that would help Kamala Harris with the power of the incumbency, even if it's just about a 3-month incumbency. He's a shadow of what he once was, says the New York Post editorial board. However impressive or not you judge that to be, bereft even of the high energy that marked the true highlight of his career, his evisceration of Paul Ryan. Remember that in the 2012 vice presidential debate? Yeah. Another fond memory to look back at on the Romney-Ryan campaign trail. Was his endorsement of Harris as the replacement nominee a subtle sort of revenge for the party's rejection? I think that's a fair question to ask because we know the party did not want originally Harris. But it looks as if that's the way it is headed now. His vague praise of her in his address seemed telling, or maybe he just didn't want to share any credit as he listed all the imaginary achievements. Then again, since the new party line is that she was never the border czar, did you hear that, by the way? That is a new talking point that you'll see in the media. We'll get an opportunity to bring that up in the next hour. But the idea that she was never the border czar, we don't even know where that came from. That was never mentioned. Maybe she didn't want to credit for his most spectacular flight of fancy, quote, we're also securing the border. At least he could deliver the line he botched at the fateful debate, which is we finally beat Big Pharma, not Medicare, as he said in the debate. No recognition here that he's the lamest of lame ducks. He's going to cure cancer before he goes. Add in the tattered defend democracy blather after he orchestrated the least democratic primaries ever, now rendered moot by the perfectly legal and utterly necessary coup by party elites forcing him to drop out. For a nominee, and remember, we mentioned this on the program yesterday, for a nominee, Kamala Harris, who's never won one single vote on her own as a national candidate. One who's running against a rival that Democrats try to take down with utterly outrageous lawfare. Which had the same success, as the New York Post editorial board puts it, as Thomas Crook's bullet. Maybe Biden has actually convinced himself the Republic dies if Orange Man wins in November. Maybe he's just sticking it to the old script he's got left. He hasn't persuaded the American public, quite the contrary. And we doubt the word salad woman will either. We talked about that the other day. And so Joe Biden's half-century plus political career ends with a bang, but an all too fitting whimper. That was the New York Post editorial board. What was your thoughts? I see a lot of people watched a little bit of it. I thought it was a stump speech, kind of what you'd expect. So we'll talk more about that in the next hour. Stay with us. Hour number 1 in the books. Hour number 2 on its way in mere moments. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Now's the time to get a great deal on taking care of your property. You need the #1 selling subcompact tractor in the U.S. so you can do it all and do it right. Z-Series mowers that deliver a quality cut, and Sidekick utility vehicles where durability meets speed. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 60 months, plus save up to $300.
AJ's Outdoor Power Equipment has 2 locations, Mansfield and Coudersport, PA. AJ'sOutdoorPower.com.
Y'all got a lot of stuff here in your water.
You're never gonna believe it, but this can filter up to 60 different contaminants from your water.
It's all about cleaner drinking water.
Dude, that's good water.
And that's good water.
Now that's good water.
That's good water, eh?
No matter where you live, there's a Culligan water expert nearby. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
I'm Mary. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me, to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what
Welcome to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. I'm your host, Frank Acom. I'm so glad that you've joined us. We're talking about Joe Biden's farewell address to the nation. Endorsing Harris, maybe a final type dig, the New York Post is suggesting, at the Democrat establishment. Because remember, at the end of the day, it was the Democrat establishment, the elites, and the mega donors that led to Biden dropping out. Dan McLaughlin says that his farewell to the nation, it was the same old malarkey. He didn't even leave. If you watch the speech, not knowing what led up to it, you'd have no idea why Biden was not running for re-election. There wasn't a word about his age, his recent public stumbles, or the pressure from his own party. There was no apology and no self-reflection. From watching Biden, however, you could guess. Instead, Biden sermonized on the importance of character and telling the truth, as if he and his White House hadn't spent years misleading the public about the president's capacity to do the job. And that's why many people are asking Kamala Harris and others, when did you know about Biden's decline? How long have you been covering it up? Because remember, Harris was a part of that cover-up. If you watched waiting for an explanation, which I think many of us did, why he can't do the job any longer, you didn't get that. Biden talked about what he still wants to do, but not how this old man slurring his cliches for 13 minutes off a teleprompter is supposed to do it. If Donald Trump tested the nation's patience by speaking for 92 minutes, which he did at the convention, Biden demonstrated why he couldn't go a fraction of that distance, even if he needed to. I've got to mention, too, and this is a side note, and I meant to mention this on yesterday's program, and I forgot to make a note. But if you want to see the difference between Biden and Trump, I know the media for so long pushed the idea that they're so close to the same age, but we all said, well, there's a difference. There's clearly a difference. If you want to see the difference, it's very fun. It's been making the media rounds a little bit on conservative outlets, but it's got a huge amount of views. It's DeChambeau. If you watch golfing, it's DeChambeau and Trump golfing. 18 holes. They cut it so it's not all, you don't have to watch 18 holes of golf. It's about an hour long, I'll put it that way, and they try to break 50. It is fascinating to watch, and it's not, I wouldn't say, even if you're not a political person, or it's not overly political. I think one mentioned to Biden, that was about it. But you see Trump, they always say, his golf game isn't as good as they claim. It was very, very impressive. So I saw it on YouTube. I don't know if there's other outlets that you can find it on. Highly recommended that hour of your time. But wait until after Frankly Speaking, please. So, and I just mentioned that because it fit in perfectly with what Dan McLaughlin was saying. So DeChambeau and Trump golfing. If you watched looking for a warm endorsement of Harris, you didn't get much. I mean, there was clearly an endorsement there, but it wasn't over the top. And that could come and piggyback off the fact that it is being reported, sources are saying, that Barack Obama is not endorsing Harris, or has not yet, because he does not believe she has the capability of winning. We're going to talk about that in depth in a little bit. Biden gave her, meaning Harris, a generic shout out that said nothing about what she actually contributed to his administration, but what did she contribute? That's a fair question. The media is now trying to cover it up and say she wasn't the border czar, even though they've been calling her the border czar. Of course, an Oval Office speech to the nation isn't supposed to be a campaign speech, but this was still a campaign speech and nothing else. Biden rehashed the supposed highlights of his presidency and insulted the intelligence of his listeners with claims to have defeated crime and secured the border. Yes, saying that they have a more secure border than the previous administration. They're just hoping you haven't been paying attention. His main message was that he was stepping aside because he had to save our democracy, by which he means winning the next election, as if democracy is over if the voters change who's in charge. He won't stop touting that message, even though Trump was nominated by 17 million Republican primary voters, while Harris was handed her nomination after Pelosi and George Clooney led a revolt of donors and elites. So keep that in mind. We hear about the lecture to democracy when Trump was nominated by 17 million Republicans and Harris, 0 Democrats. Biden wants Americans to believe that he's a unifier who stands against hate and extremism and political violence, but at every turn, his entire argument depends upon demonizing his opponents and blaming them for all those things. In a telling slip, borrowing the words of Abraham Lincoln, he started to say that we are not enemies but friends, but caught himself midway through friends and said fellow Americans instead. Lincoln, in his first inaugural address on the eve of the Civil War, could still call the Confederates who had already declared secession friends. Biden couldn't quite manage it. The most ominous part, again, was Supreme Court reform that is vital to, quote, democracy. When actually we know it's a threat to democracy. Biden is reportedly preparing a plan to limit the Supreme Court with term limits and other schemes aimed at ousting several of the conservative justices. This is court packing by another name. It would demolish 235 years of unbroken tradition. That's bad for democracy. Judges are supposed to enforce the Constitution and laws as they were written, precisely because they were written by the elected representatives of the people. If you change the judges, you can change the laws without winning elections. So that, perhaps, as I mentioned earlier in the program, I think was the most troubling part of the speech. And you can push the lies about the border and things like that aside, just because this was about what he plans to do in the next 6 months. Many pundits piled on him in good and bad ways. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. As I mentioned, it is being reported that Barack Obama is not endorsing Harris because he's not a fan of Harris, doesn't think that she can win. James Carville saying to people out there that are really gaga over Harris, saying, you got to be real about this. Realism in Harris's quest to defeat Donald Trump and in turn save democracy. Donald Trump did respond to the speech last night, saying crooked Joe Biden's Oval Office speech was barely understandable and so bad. Crooked Joe Biden and lying Kamala Harris are a great embarrassment to America. There has never been a time like this, in a follow-up post. And he had some photos of him with Biden's speech on in the background. It was on Trump Force One. I couldn't think of what he called it. Trump Force One. He said, "Hey, Joe, you're fired." A number of pundits and politicians described Biden's speech as sad. All politics aside, it's sad to watch Biden slur through a farewell speech with glassy eyes and a weak voice, said Mike Huckabee. He noted that he wished Biden used the nationally televised address to address violent anti-Israel protesters that besieged Washington yesterday. Huckabee, saying, "I agree with him that there's no place for violence," was hoping he would condemn the violence this very day in D.C. by Hamas supporters. CNN analyst Van Jones, who's been getting very emotional lately, he cried when Biden made the announcement. This is on national TV. Cried when Biden made the announcement through that letter that he would not seek re-election. Van Jones nearly tearing up again, saying, and I quote, "The kid with the stutter did good. Most heroes fight to the bitter end. He fell on his sword. He's an old guy, but his heart is still there." And then Van Jones had to admit that because it's the lamest of lame ducks, the Supreme Court reform, those other things probably likely to go nowhere. Scott Jennings, a Republican political operative and CNN analyst who we've mentioned a few times in the past, said he's running on fumes. Most of this seemed like a stump speech to me. I hope he is okay for the next few months. And a lot of people concerned about that aspect to it. The next 5 months, 6 months, that he will be fine and be able to get through it, because there seems to be no real push from the Democrat Party to boot him out for these last few months and give Harris the power of the incumbency. Now, we've got to take our first break of hour number 2. Stay with us. We will be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. Keep those waves and those comments coming in.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now is the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer.
How do I know if I have a case?
Call 844-292-6222 and consult with one of our attorneys to find out if the products you used are part of the lawsuit. Your eligibility will also depend on how often you use these hair products and your specific cancer diagnosis. If you regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. Call 844-292-6222.
How much will it cost to talk to an attorney?
There is no fee unless we win your case. Call 844-292-6222 for your free case review.
Are you over 50? Would you like to get up to 33% more income in retirement? Then call now and get this free book, Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers, from a leading financial firm on maximizing your income in retirement. This book reveals little-known secrets about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms that can help you make the right choices before buying an annuity. And if you call right now, as a bonus, we'll throw in a free annuity rate report. We've researched over 1,200 annuities summarizing the rates and benefits for you. So don't miss out on this opportunity because supplies are limited. Call now and find out how you can get up to 33% more income in your retirement, and you'll receive Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers and the Annuity Rate Report as an added bonus. Both books are yours free just for calling Annuity General today.
Call 800-354-5972. That's 800-354-5972. Again, 800-354-5972.
Are back with Frankly Speaking, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Comment from a viewer here. Trump should challenge Harris to a debate on Fox. Also in the same challenge, put her back up against the wall, stating if she believes she is capable of leading the nation. A debate on Fox is just a simple avenue to prove herself. I don't think... Oh, thanks for the wave, by the way, to a different viewer. I don't think... it's even expected now for a Democrat to accept a Fox debate. You know, I remember when originally there was talks of, hey, you know, we've got to go on CNN. We've got to go to all these unfriendly territory. Why don't you? Now it's just accepted that they're not going to accept a Fox debate. But I could be wrong in this case. If she really comes to a point where she's in trouble, maybe poll-wise, perhaps. Another comment. Let's see. Thinking about the lighting, have you tried replacing the lights, or were they recently replaced? No, it was just someone messed with the settings. That's all it is. We're gonna mess with it after the show, try to get it back to normal look. It's not too far off, I don't think. Let's ask Summer Glow. That's all it is. So we've got a lot more to talk about here. Keep those comments coming in. Keep those waves coming in. As I mentioned, we do have a special guest on the program tomorrow. I don't want to give too much away because we're going to pre-record it later this afternoon. And if that doesn't work, because the gentleman is very, very busy, if that doesn't work, I don't want to ruin it and have you be disappointed. But I will say it is someone that is coming to the area, and you may have been seeing the commercial quite a bit lately. That's all I'm going to give you. Okay, Biden absolutely is sharp enough for a second term, and there has been no cover-up of his mental decline. That is according to the White House and Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre. Look, he didn't step down from campaigning or from running because he didn't believe he can serve in a second term. That is not why. He did it in the best interest of the country. So today, the president believes that he is capable, fully capable, of serving in the office that he currently has now and for the next 4.5 years if he wanted to. That was a question asked of Jean-Pierre. Absolutely, she said. So another reporter pressed the question, why is it in the country's best interest for him to step aside? Does it have to do with his health? And hey, that's a fair way of putting it. Why is him staying in a threat to democracy? But she said it has nothing to do with health. The president's going to speak to this directly to the American people tonight in primetime, which he really didn't. I would say it was a speech that was to be expected. I don't know about you. I don't think there was any surprises. I don't think there was anything particularly memorable about it. I think it was kind of just what you expected, right? But no, it was not that. Now, it was not mental issues. He felt just on a whim overnight from Saturday night to Sunday morning that the time had come to pass the torch, that him staying in a threat to democracy. The White House communications team's credibility surrounding knowledge of Biden's political future is in the national spotlight, according to Emma Coltland at Fox News. Ari Fleischer, who used to work for George W. Bush, said, all you can do is shake your head. No one at the White House has any credibility when it comes to Joe Biden's health. From Vice President Harris to the White House physician to everyone in the press office, they covered up for the president's frailties. They hid the truth. It is a scandal. And to Mr. Fleischer's point, it is a scandal that will not be reported on, that will not be mentioned. As soon as he said he was stepping down, that was it. He was now George Washington. He was a true leader, one of the greatest to ever do it. That's where the focus is now. They don't want to talk about the scandal of Harris, the media, everybody in the White House knowing this for how long and not saying anything, denying it, lying about it, and putting our country at risk and, if they still had their way, potentially at risk for the next 4 years. When asked to respond, White House spokesman Andrew Bates said, you mean the same Ari Fleischer who told the American people over 100 lies while making the case for the Iraq war? So I guess now whataboutism is okay. I don't see the comparison in those two things, but okay. When Biden did announce his departure from the race, only a handful of White House and campaign officials, such as Harris, Chief of Staff Zients, I don't know how you say that, and campaign chair Jen O'Malley Dillon, were made aware ahead of the letter, while some senior officials learned of the decision in a Zoom call. I don't know if there'll ever, you would think so, but be a book on this in these final days before the decision, or I guess month, you would say. Has it been? I think it'll be a month on the 27th. Can you believe that since the debate? Think of how much we've jam-packed in a month when it comes to history. But I think Ari Fleischer is right. There's such a lack of credibility now. The president told, this is Bates, the president told both leaders he is the nominee for the party. He plans to win and looks forward to working with both of them to pass his 100-day agenda to help working families. That was released on July the 3rd. That is not happening, period, meaning him stepping down. So they give the time frame here on this piece, and it really, we don't want to go through all the time stamps because we lived through it. We know where we were, as they always say. So I can see why it should be considered a scandal, why the media is not reporting on it. I think something also that needs to be told before this next 5 to 6 months is, what about that Parkinson's doctor that visited so many times? Will we ever learn about that? Or is it now to the point where, because he is not going to run for re-election, we have to ignore the fact that he is still president of the United States for the next 5 to 6 months? I guess that's what the media and those in Washington are telling us. Do you think it will be reported on fairly? Do you think that finally you'll get some reporters saying, wait, what did Harris know and when did she know it? That's what House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Michael McCall said. I don't see anybody in the president's inner circle who could not have known about his cognitive decline. It was very noticeable to the members of the meeting. There was something, maybe he was just having a bad day, McCall said. And remember how they just dragged her through the mud because he had the audacity to say he's just an old man that's forgetful and people will never try him on that classified documents case, or never find him guilty, I should say. If you look at video from 6 months ago, 3 months ago, when she continued to appear before large groups of people and say the president is fine, meaning this is Harris, he's doing great. You know, they were all in on this, said Representative Scott Fitzgerald. As a result of that, you know, we find ourselves in the real strange position of not knowing whether or not he can fulfill his duties. And also, think of what it put, the kind of the fraudulent nature of it. It created a scenario that Republicans only have 4 months to run against Harris. Now, on the flip side of that, James Carville is saying that it's almost impossible to get a campaign going, a presidential campaign going in 4 months to Harris. Some are calling it, of course, a coup to get Biden out. But the Republican attacks have included questions over whether Harris saw Biden operatives privately the way he did on the debate stage. It's clear that she was watching his decline, again meaning Harris, and did nothing to bring it to light or to take action, said Representative Ben Cline. Instead, what we see is her involvement in one of the greatest cover-ups in our nation's history. And I think cover-up, scandal, both appropriate words. Tom Tiffany from Wisconsin said, I mean, she's the vice president. She was there the whole time when most of the world knew that he was not up for the job. She stood by him, said Dan Mauser, and that's a very loyal thing to do. But where's loyalty in lying to the American people? Where's that line? So we got to take a break. Keep those comments coming in. Keep those waves coming in. A lot more to cover this morning. And we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Have you been unable to work for over a year due to a mental or physical disability?
Were you recently denied Social Security disability benefits? Great news. You may be eligible for money, back pay, relief.
If you've been pre-qualified and diagnosed with a recognized condition that prohibits you from working, our lawyers can file a claim to get your disability benefit.
Call us today and find out more.
Call now, 844-617-0440.
Ridge Boys American-made farewell tour. Celebrating 50-plus years of touring. The legendary Oak Ridge Boys. August 1st, the Chemung County Fair. Reserve seats on sale now at ChemungCountyFair.com or the Fair box office. The Oak Ridge Boys American-made farewell tour.
Great drivers change lanes very fast, but with no outside mirrors. How come they don't crash? Introducing Angel View, the new wide-angle mirror that reduces blind spots. Angel View simply snaps over your car's rear view mirror, giving you a 160-degree view behind you. Ordinary rear view mirrors are small and flat, but Angel View has a huge mirror with curved glass. This convex shape allows you to see both blind spots with one glance. And with our Pro Edition special coating, it's anti-glare at night. Get your Angel View now for just $19.99 through this special offer. But wait, this may be your last chance to get Angel View at this low price. There is a strict limit of 2 Angel Views per order while supplies last. Order now.
Call 1-800-869-5346. That's 1-800-869-5346. Or visit getangelview.com. So call 1-800-869-5346 now.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking, broadcasting live. If Trump was to debate Harris, it would serve the Republicans. I fear they would out Harris for that. Better to leave to your point, that's why it's really beneficial for not having to have a primary, not having to have those kind of open forums, because she is not good in those scenarios. She had one good debate performance when she ran for president back in 2020, and that great debate performance was that she called her now boss a bigot. So that saw a little rise in the polls, but as we know, she never even made it to the vote. never made it to the primary, never made it to Iowa. So as has been stated by numerous people, she has never received one vote to be the Democrat presidential nominee, never once in her career. So I'm not sure they would oust her. I don't think, listen, they don't want to be the party of chaos at all. They are now the party of chaos. Getting picture taken. They are the party of chaos, and they don't want to be seen again as the party of chaos. But they would have to do that before she gets the nomination, and they're trying to. I should have had that right in front of me. And I've got other comments to read too. I don't think I forgot about you. But Democrats are teeing up the Harris nomination vote ahead of the convention. Vice President Harris is on track to officially become the Democrat nominee for president as soon as next week. That's another problem. Oh, is music playing again? I apologize, folks. Okay, we're going to read that comment back again. If Trump was to debate Harris, it wouldn't serve the Republicans. I'd fear they would oust Harris for her bad performance. Better to leave cackling Kamala alone. I'm not sure they would oust her or not, because I don't think they want to continue to be the party of chaos, but they would have to do it. My point was they'd have to do it before the nomination. Now they're trying to, which I find this so fascinating. They keep doing this. They try to push the nomination to kind of end this chaos, right? With Biden, it was like, let's move it up forward. Then people can't complain anymore about perhaps his health. Then they said, well, the money's dried up. The power brokers are trying to push him out. Let's move the nomination back. Now Harris is in there, and we don't want any more of this chaos and other names being suggested. So let's move the nomination process forward. I'm telling you, it must be so frustrating to see what the Democrat elites can do if you are a standard Democrat voter. Just must be maddening. I know I've mentioned this numerous times, but it would be akin, going back to like Bernie and Hillary, it would have been akin to you going to Trump rally, so many people having that support for Trump back in 2016, and then at the end of the day, the power brokers in the Republican Party, the Bill Kristols and Karl Rove saying, nah, it's Jeb Bush. Sorry, guys. This is what this all feels like. The Democrat voters have no say. The party elites have no belief in their own voters. It's got to be so frustrating. I'm not saying this. I'm just saying this. It fascinates me how Democrats can continue to keep taking it and saying, well, we'll let the smoke-filled room members figure out where we should be headed. Thank you for that. Another comment from a viewer. How many Harris staff members that quit because she was impossible to deal with? Yeah, that was a big story for a while. Very tough to work with. Are they kicking themselves because people involved in such roles normally just want to be a part of the power the office holds? Now they can't jump back on. I'm sure there's a lot of people that regret that decision. But I wonder if it's not one of those decisions where it was so easy to make, where, because they already had a level of power to begin with working for the vice president. So it was so bad that you're willing to give up that power. And also, when you've made it as a staffer at that level, you're probably going to be picked up by somebody else, maybe not as equally as powerful as a vice president, but you know, you're still going to land on your feet. We'll put it that way. But yes, I'm sure there's a lot of people that felt bad about it. But I think it probably was, the way, hearing behind the scenes how she is to work with, it probably was a pretty easy decision, and one that if they really ruminated on, they probably would say, nah, I still made the right decision. Another comment from a viewer, and a very important comment, and thank you to this viewer. Yesterday, I never thought I would see our American flag burn again and another flag raised. I apologize to our vets. Yes, to watch those anti-Israel, and as we've said, clearly anti-American, anti-police protesters yesterday before Netanyahu's speech. The despicable photos of our flag being taken down, burnt, while Palestinian flag was raised. So I thought that was a very good message. Thank you very much for sending that in. So yes, Democrats could nominate Harris as early as next week, even though the convention is not till the 19th. They just want to calm any rumors of anybody else getting involved. So far, only Harris has publicly declared her intention of running. Now, I forget who said it, but they said it would be political suicide if you were as a Democrat, to try to run against her right now. So maybe that's not why we're seeing too many of the rumbles. Also, I think if you look at maybe a Gavin Newsom, someone like that, if they do run and lose to Trump, their career's over. If they wait 4 years, they're still young. I'm just pointing to Gavin Newsom, Whitmer, or something like that. Still very young. So if they wait 4 years for a Trump presidency to be over, why not? Then they got a shot. They're still young. Oh, we got a lot of comments, a lot of waves coming in. We'll be getting those after break. A lot of people, I think there might be quite a few tourists in town, which is always exciting because we've got a lot of people taking our photo this morning. And I think more of it is a photo of the painting of Dwayne Eddy in the window, more than me, if I'm being honest. Trump accuses the FBI director of lying about Biden's cognitive abilities. There's a lot of people that were in on this. I mean, that's just a matter of fact at this point. Harris knew. How many people knew? I would say that everybody in the media that followed the White House, I'd say anybody in the White House, of course. So this is one of the biggest cover-ups, biggest scandals in Washington history that will not be reported on accurately. Keep that in mind. So Christopher Wray is being accused by the former president of lying to Congress. The Republican nominee for president directed his ire at Wray after he told the House Judiciary Committee on Wednesday that he meets infrequently with the 81-year-old president and has not noticed any notable decline in Biden's mental and physical health. He said, quote, "I don't meet with him very often, but what you're describing is not something that I've observed during my interaction with him." He described his meetings with Biden as uneventful and unremarkable. So Trump took to Truth Social saying, "I watched a congressional hearing today as Christopher Wray was asked the question whether or not he noticed any cognitive degeneration in his many conversations with crooked Joe Biden. Despite the fact the special counsel Robert Hur said effectively that Joe Biden is incompetent with little memory, etc., Wray said that it is not something I observed during my interactions with him, which were uneventful and unremarkable, essentially stating that he found nothing wrong mentally or physically with Joe. If this is the case, Director Wray should resign immediately from the FBI. Wray has to resign, and now, for lying to Congress." Let's take a short break. And when we come back, a little more in depth, which I'm sure you've heard this by now, Obama does not believe in Kamala's chances of winning and beating Trump, which is why he has yet to endorse. Also, if you didn't hear me earlier, if you get a chance, get an opportunity, I think you'll really enjoy it. Bryson and Trump golfing. It's on YouTube. It's, I guess, right? Bryson is his first name. Bryson DeChambeau. It is fascinating to watch them play 18 holes. So if you get a chance, it's about an hour long, but I think it's worth it, especially if you are a golf fan. I think you'll really enjoy it. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Do you hate throwing away food that's gone bad? Does your pantry look like a bad disaster? What if you could keep your food as fresh as the day you bought it and vacuum seal any ingredient? Eric Beast here with my new portable, powerful PowerXL Duo NutriSealer. This incredible breakthrough in technology can savor any flavor while it seals in the freshness. What's the secret? The Duo NutriSealer will remove all the air. Once all the air is removed, the air pressure detection system is automatically activated and seals your bag tight. And it's the only patented handheld sealer that creates double seals. The Duo has a floating hinge and a built-in slicer to make bags of any size. You can even seal through liquid. Don't let its small compact size fool you. With just one touch of a button, the Duo seals any bag and it will stay bonded until you open it, guaranteed. The Duo NutriSealer locks in nutrients and freshness so you can keep your food 5 times longer. Prep and freeze delicious meals, or buy wholesale and seal individual packs and save up to 60%. Our bags are BPA free, microwave safe, and will never leach. Now you can get my PowerXL Duo NutriSealer for only 3 payments of $33.33. Plus, it comes with an ironclad 1-year VIP guarantee protection plan and my recipe book filled with marinades for super delicious meals. We're still not done. Order now and you'll receive an entire year's worth of bags. That's a $50 value, yours free. And we'll also include free shipping. All this is a $300 value, yours today for only 3 payments of $33.33. Remember, this is a special TV-only offer. So call or go to PowerXLDuo.com right now.
Call 1-877-869-2149 or go to PowerXLDuo.com.
my microphone down a little low there. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. So it is being reported that former President Barack Obama hasn't endorsed Harris because he doesn't think she can beat Trump, according to a source close to the Biden family. Obama's very upset because he knows she can't win, the Biden family source said. Obama knows she's just incompetent. The border czar who never visited the border, saying that all migrants should have health insurance. She cannot navigate the landmines that are ahead of her. When you are running for president, there are things you can and can't say. Wait until the debate. She can't debate. She's going to put her foot in her mouth about Israel, Palestine, Ukraine. She's going to say something really stupid. And I think there is a possibility there because we saw it in the past, the very few times that we actually saw her off the cuff, where it's the word salad that has become so synonymous with her speech. Obama knew this was going to happen. Joe knew this was going to happen. Now she is going to have to answer real questions. But this is where it gets kind of interesting, the palace intrigue. The hires up in the Democrat Party didn't count on Biden endorsing Harris right away, and Obama was shocked when Joe endorsed her. Was that, and we talked about this for the last few days, because my thought is that might have been a way for Biden to get at least one, or maybe Biden's family, Hunter and Jill, to get one last dig at the Democrats who stabbed him in the back and ousted him, saying, okay, be careful what you wish for. You don't want it to be me when my poll numbers were, not great, but close. Actually better than Harris's in some instances. So if you don't want me, you've got Harris. So Obama shocked, according to the source, that Biden right out of the gate endorsed Harris, sending everything into a tizzy because Obama, according to this report, wanted Mark Kelly to be the nominee. He wanted Mark Kelly to be at the top of the ticket. Now, Obama is furious things haven't gone his way, which is why he is not joining in the Democrat Party support of Harris, the Biden source said. Another well-placed Democrat source said, get this. This is a well-placed Democrat source. Obama being surprised by a smart political decision actually makes sense when coupled with his personal inability to see politics beyond his singular, immediate interests. Obama always thinks he is the smartest and coolest guy in the room. He's friends with George Clooney, after all. Wow. There is, no matter what the media is saying, there is a lot of infighting over this. There's a lot of people upset that Biden was pushed out so unceremoniously, so really disrespectfully and disgracefully. And maybe, again, and I'm posing the question to you, do you think that him endorsing Harris right out of the gate was kind of payback to the party that had just turned on him, who had just stabbed him in the back after 50 plus odd years of doing the Democrats' bidding and being a loyal Democrat? Rod Blagojevich, now the disgraced, fair to say, disgraced former governor of Illinois, denounced Obama as a threat to democracy in a Wall Street Journal op-ed yesterday, believing that Obama was instrumental in getting Biden out of the race and leading. And when you say threat to democracy, there is no democracy involved in this vote for Harris. I mean, you as a Democrat voter, if you're a Democrat voter, you had no say in Harris being your nominee whatsoever. It's got to be frustrating. If Biden's departure from the race couldn't have happened without Obama, Blagojevich wrote. Without Obama, Biden is still the Democrat nominee. Obama was the conductor leading the orchestra that convinced Biden to step aside. So at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, it is going to be very interesting if Democrats have an awakening, saying, if Trump wins, have an awakening saying, wait a minute, they forced Harris on us. They forced us to vote for someone that we did not want to vote for, would not have chosen. They ousted someone that maybe had a chance, who had beat Trump once, maybe could do it again. I don't know. You've got to get sick of the party elites always getting to decide what you have to do as a Democrat. I mean, I know I would as a Republican. That's why I question it. Obama, if you recall, persuaded Biden not to run for the presidency in 2016 in order to allow Hillary Clinton a shot at the White House. Has been a sticking point between them. He was not encouraging, Biden later told the New York Times, referring to former President Obama, who believed at the time Hillary had a better chance of beating Trump. He's running the Democrat Party like a Chicago ward boss from the shadows in the back room, Blagojevich continued. In this case, it's a big back room because he has a lot of big houses. Anyway, so Obama doesn't like Harris in there, isn't getting his way, according to this Democrat source, almost like a child. So he's not going to throw his support behind Harris after Biden did. Now, can Kamala Harris win the presidency? Nearly 70% of Americans doubt the vice president has what it takes. That's not to say they are against her. It's just, does she have the capability to do it? Strong fundraising, and that goes to show you again the power of big money in the Democrat Party today. Because as soon as the money started drying up, that's when Biden gets out. And the elites were pushing him as well, but that's when he gets out. And then the big money donors come back, so the media can go, wow, there's a lot of momentum for Harris. Look at all this money she fundraised. You saw the news headlines. She raised this much, biggest fundraising haul ever. There's so much excitement in the Democrat Party behind Harris. It's all a PR stunt. I mean, she got the money, but it was all big money saying, we know how to control the power. But I'll continue. But strong fundraising, a well-attended rally, and endorsements from virtually every major Democrat not named Barack Obama haven't translated to faith among the general public that Kamala Harris can win, at least not yet. It is early. In a poll by YouGov conducted between July 21st and the 23rd, a period that encompasses Biden's announcement not to run and the quick coalescence around Harris, only 31% think the vice president has what it takes to earn a promotion this year. I got to go back to this because I do find it interesting that Obama has not endorsed her. So Biden does, makes the decision for all Democrats. Democrats begrudgingly go along. They never wanted to be Harris. That's why they covered up Biden's health for so long. They never wanted it to be Harris. So they finally said, well, Biden kind of forced our hand on this, so we'll support her. But Obama not getting his way, wanting Mark Kelly, acting like a child, saying, I'm not going to support her. Now, I think he ultimately will? Yes, I do. I think right now it's more about getting the attention of he's not happy in a way, because he will. He's still going to be a good Democrat and support Harris. I think maybe, like others, he's wishing beyond hope that somebody else may come along and challenge her, or something will happen where there is a small primary scenario at the convention. But that does not look to be the case. And by the way, there's no gender gap in the pessimism about Harris's prospects. That 31% applies to both males and females. Conversely, 52% of respondents see Trump as the likely winner. We got to take a short break. Couple comments coming in, it looks like. Try to get to as many as I can. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Wow, you found it.
I did.
The History of Water Part 6? I've been dying to read this.
I know, honey.
I always wanted that book.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install one of our high-efficiency water softeners, we're thinking about hard water and limescale buildup, so you can just think about longer-lasting appliances and softer skin and hair. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
Bridge Boys American-made farewell tour. Celebrating 50-plus years of touring. The legendary Oak Ridge Boys. August 1st, the Chemung County Fair. Reserve seats on sale now at ChemungCountyFair.com or the Fair box office. The Oak Ridge Boys American-made farewell tour.
It's a season of sharing.
Having a good time has always been my #1 goal. I tend to get crazy. At my age, I should not be jumping up and down like that. And if you don't know what I mean, ask your mama. The young ones, y'all like, we don't know what you're talking about. But I promise you, in 30 years, you will.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on Big Fox.
Whoa, wrong one. And we are back with Frankly Speaking, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. So many great comments coming in from viewers. Let's get right to them, shall we? Just watch the Democrats over the years. You have to admit that they are the party of creating chaos and doing and saying anything that they need to remain in power. Saul Alinsky firmly believe the ends justify the means. I see what you're saying. Saul Alinskyites, right? Like the supporters of Saul Alinsky. At least that's how it popped up here. Firmly believe the ends justify the means. They will convince Kamala to step down for the good of the country, just like they did Biden. The Democrats know one thing very well. They will be rewarded if they go along with leadership, and they will be severely damaged if they don't. Well, on the other side of that coin, Ken, remember one, who was it? I wish I could remember, saying that it's political suicide, to your point about severely damaged if they don't, if someone runs against Harris right now. I don't know if she'll be forced out just because it's so quick. They've got to hurry up here, especially if they nominate her as early as next week. I don't know about time frame wise. I don't disagree with you. I know they don't want Harris. That's why they kept Biden's cognitive decline hidden for so long, because they know that Harris is not a strong candidate. So I think you have a point there. I just don't know how the time will allow. If you want to tell me, it's got to be fast. It has got to be fast. Next comment. But yeah, back to your point of severely damaged. Who was it? Was it Cory Booker? Remember, criticized Obama. A big Democrat supporter, of course, a big Obama supporter. He was looked at to be maybe the heir to Obama, was going to be a presidential candidate someday, and still maybe, but was going to be a presidential candidate someday. And then he said one thing, and it was something very almost innocent, like, I don't know if I agree with Obama on this bill. And they got to it. It was not 24 hours he was giving a speech. I misspoke. Now that I understand it, he got, like you said, the damage. He got that backroom talking to that, hey, you just probably destroyed your political career. Next comment. An observation. Obama is not endorsing Harris yet. I would have thought any former president would have a strong following who, if he endorsed a candidate, it would bring a legitimate amount of supporters to the table. Unless he doesn't have enough confidence in his legacy. Oh, getting a little dig in there. I believe he has plenty of confidence in his legacy. I do think it's a little bit of what we're hearing from that source at the New York Post. I think it is a little bit of a, hey, I'm the kingmaker. I'm the cool guy in the room. You don't make a decision without me, and I want Mark Kelly. And maybe Mark Kelly's not accurate. Maybe it was somebody else. He does not believe that Kamala, like 70% of Americans, does not believe that Kamala has what it takes to win. So it's that kind of spoiled kingmaker that didn't get his way. I don't know, but hey, I love these comments. They're great. They're mind teasers, making you think. Good morning, Frank. Good morning. What a waste of time was the president's speech last evening. Yes, no answers were given as to why Biden dropped out of the election. It was basically a campaign event for Kamala Harris. It was, and not even a really endorsing, big over the top for Kamala specifically. It was more about, look how great I've been. Did you know, if you didn't watch the speech last night, that the border is more secure today than it was under the Trump administration? It was that kind of fun speech, huh? Also, yesterday we had the conversation, and thank you again to all these comments. Keep them coming in. I'd love to hear more, Ken, about that. What would the time frame be on that? Because I know that they do not want Kamala Harris. Are you saying at any time during this campaign, the next 3.5 months, or when? Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's intrigued me, but I definitely agree with the Saul Alinsky idea that the Democrats adhere to, the ends justify the means. Speaking of which, to tie it in, yesterday we talked about Kamala Harris supporters chanting "lock him up," and I asked the question: what do you think of the optics of that when her and the administration have been accused of this lawfare against Trump, a very legitimate a very legitimate use of the term lawfare, a very legitimate claim that they use the power of the Department of Justice and others to go after their political opponent. So was it the best political optics, or they just don't care? They're just right in your face about the hypocrisy. Well, another fine example, our Attorney General, New York State Attorney General Letitia James, who has also been accused of this lawfare and this persecution and prosecution of Donald Trump, who said that she was going to go after Trump, campaigned on it. She admits her singular focus is helping Kamala Harris beat Trump. New York Attorney General Letitia James said her singular focus is helping Vice President Kamala Harris beat Donald Trump in the election, just months after she successfully prosecuted the former president with a controversial $454 million civil fraud judgment. It was such a bad judgment. Do you remember even Hochul saw what this could do to business and landowners in New York, saying, no, this isn't typically going to be the case. This is just, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, but this is just because it's Trump. It's almost like the media and so many others accepted it. Well, it's because it's Trump's name. Don't worry. We're not normally going to do that. Now, of course, we know a slippery slope when we see one. And, of course, they'll do it in the future because, as we saw with Nikki Haley after she endorsed Trump, they will turn on a Republican instantly, obviously. They always are against them. They'll prop someone up that they think is going to lose, like they did with Haley. But at the end of the day, if you got an R next to your name, they're going to try to destroy you. And if this works, this lawfare works in their mind, they're going to continue to push it. I'm focused at this point in time. This is our Attorney General, Letitia James. I'm focused at this point in time on securing the nomination for Vice President Harris and then ultimately getting her elected, she told Joy Reid. So thank goodness she's not focusing on things that affect New Yorkers with the just horrible public safety numbers, just a horrible crime in the streets. Thank goodness she's focused. Their singular focus is helping Kamala Harris beat Trump. That is my singular focus at this point in time, and continuing to stand up for the rule of law and representing the citizens of the great state of New York as we do each and every day. There's speculation she may try to run for governor too, if you haven't heard that. When does she stand up for the rule of law? With that witch hunt, as Trump calls it, and rightfully so, with that lawsuit? James stressed her sole focus when asked if she hoped Harris would appoint her as her Attorney General if she secures the White House, which I'm sure she would. The Attorney General, talking about Trump, said he's not concerned about the rule of law, not concerned about the interests of working class people in the country, not concerned about uniting us. It's all about how he can benefit himself and his family. Is this the uniting us that she's talking about by saying her singular focus as Attorney General is to go after Trump? Okay. And that's why all of us must march to the polls with quiet dignity and vote. There's so much at stake. It really is critically important that individuals understand that he represents an existential threat to all that we believe in. That's why we must stand together and elect Vice President Harris. Yeah, I don't want to go through anymore. It's just, they don't even hide it anymore, folks. They don't even hide it. It's wow. It's remarkable. We're going to hear from James, the Raging Cajun Carvel, when we come back. So stay with us. Last break as we wrap things up here in the second hour of Frankly Speaking.
I'm Marianne Crawford. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
What's up, guys? What I'm about to show you is going to change the way you shave your head forever.
You can shave your head in 90 seconds or less.
With no cuts or nicks. It's 100% waterproof.
It even works in the shower.
Introducing Remington's Balder Boss. With increased flex and 5 dual-track floating head design, get over 60% more head coverage for a faster, closer shave and skin-close results.
No nicks, no scrapes. Fit in the palm of my hand, and the results were amazing.
Shave in the shower or with any foam or gel. With Japanese-grade steel blades, plow through the thickest of hair. Anytime, anywhere. There's even a pop-up trimmer to complete your perfect groove. Now, you can try the Remington Balder Boss in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. Complete with a 5-year limited warranty and 100% satisfaction guarantee. You can also get our ear, nose, and brow trimmer free. Just pay separate processing and handling.
Give it a try. You won't be disappointed.
Order your Balder Boss.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Thanks so much for joining us. Comment from a viewer. When Harris was running against Biden, didn't she call him a racist? Politics do make strange bedfellows. Anything to get voted in. Yes, she did during the primary. That was her biggest claim to fame. Was she had one debate performance where she called her now boss a bigot. And it was a powerful line where she said, that young girl was me, and went after him. And boy, her polls went. And this goes to show you why I keep saying that She's not good at campaigning, and that's why so many people behind the scenes are scared about how this is going to go, because she didn't have the political wherewithal to realize that during a primary race, you're trying to get any point away from your opponent, right? Because, it's very close. Well, this person's up 15 points. If I could take away 2 from them and 2 from this other person, that kind of deal. She did not realize that now that she had a great debate performance, in their mind, by calling her now boss a bigot, she didn't realize that the rest of the primary team, everybody else trying to be president up there, were going to go after her, so she wasn't prepared. She had a horrible debate. Tulsi Gabbard, not Tulsi Gabbard, was it? Who went, Tulsi Gabbard was the one who went after her, got a great line on her. So she just was caught like a deer in the headlights, and of course never made it to a single primary state, never made it to Iowa, dropped out before. James Carville says it's going to be very close, meaning the race between Harris and Trump. And I understand that people are feeling a lot better and excited. But that excitement has got to be tempered with realism. And the realism is she has a tough campaign. So Mika Brzezinski, because this was on Morning Joe, Mika Brzezinski says, well, expand on that point of realism. He said, well, it's a shortened runway. She has to accomplish what most campaigns have 8 months to do. He added that Harris's identity as a minority woman may excite some voters, but she faces Trump, who has a very enthusiastic base of his own that is ready to fight to get the former president elected. Again, James Carville. I didn't even notice that. Someone just commenting, holy cow, 27 waves. Yeah, it's been a big wave day. Thank you so much for noticing. A lot on the street, though. But I think the biggest we ever had on waves was it 38? And that was, there's so many breaking news stories, but that was the day after Trump was found guilty of the felonies, I think. But 27, very impressive, and thank you everybody joining us. Okay, back to what James Carville said. We have a woman, a non-white woman, and people are generally and understandably excited about that. But we also got a locked in and entrenched opponent who's got a large part of the country behind him who are going to pull out, and they don't care what's true or what's fair or anything else, and you got to be ready for that at every point. All I'm saying to Democrats is enjoy yourself, feel good, but it's tough sledding ahead, and let's get together and get this thing done. Andrew Stein. Okay, here's another comment. Frank, how can New York citizens wrestle back our government from the metropolitan elitists? It is shameful how extremely far left the state political class has gone. I agree. That's why when people, and I'm not trying to be jaded and I'm not trying to put anybody down that believes that. That's why I just don't think there's any chance that Trump can win New York, especially now with Harris in there. I don't know how. That's the billion-dollar question. I'd be in Albany right now if I knew that. We got to keep fighting them. We got to keep working hard, grassroots politics, get involved. Next time Joe Sempolinski's on, we'll tell you how to get involved in the Republican Party. But I'm out of time today. Yes, we got a ton of waves. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all the great comments. We'll be back to wrap up the week tomorrow. And we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. Very special guest at 7:20 if it all works out. So you do not want to miss it. Don't miss any, frankly speaking. Starting weekday mornings at 6 only on WYDC TV. Big Fox, have a great day, everyone. And we will see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. I look forward to it already.
I'm Marianne Crawford. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me